What is up, everybody? Daddy Rooster 88, Motivate, coming at you with the podcast today. The Humble Hustle podcast, a conversation with my son today. What's up, Sam?
How's it going, Dad?
Pretty good, pretty good. We're just trying to stay cool over here in Central California. How's it over there where you're at?
It's barely heating up. Usually it's in the hundreds already by April, but we're getting our first 100 tomorrow, so can't complain.
Oh, man, yeah, it's pretty hot down there. I know. Anyways, so getting back to the channel, getting back to the show, we're constantly working on ourselves. We're constantly trying to better ourselves, personal development wise, and we're always looking for ways to help other people. And today, I thought we'd talk about the subject of fear, and I got some notes here. People with fear, a fear of failure, may avoid taking risks or trying new things because they worry about the negative consequences that comes with it if they fail. This fear can hinder personal growth and limit one's potential. Fear of success is a fear of achieving success and the potential changes that come with it. So basically, there's two types of fear that I've seen: fear in itself and fear of success. Usually, you see the fear, just the basic fear in itself, where people are just scared of doing things altogether. What do you think about that?
Yeah, sometimes what happens in your mind is that whole fight or flight mode that you get into when you encounter something that's crossed your path that's either uncomfortable or you have a goal set in mind and things are getting in the way. You have a decision whether to continue or to stop and quit.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes people they have fear. They've perhaps got into the mindset where they're worried. Maybe they didn't prepare enough. Speaking as far as exercise goes, you're trying to hit a PR, you're trying to run this marathon, whatever it is, and you didn't put the time in, you didn't put the training in. Just somebody like that just decides to sign up on a whim, and fear starts to set in. And sometimes you did put the training in, and you still get that fear. That's normal, like you said, fight or flight, and then you get that decision that you have to make. What do you think? There's some ways that you could deal with that. I mean, obviously, training.
Yeah, I mean, preparation. I mean, prepare as much as you want. Like you said, it's natural. It's still gonna come anyway. It's just a human thing. Self doubt. It comes whenever you're going uphill in a battle. Ways that you can battle against that is building your self confidence, whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, whatever it is. Um, there's a lot of tips out there on building self confidence. I mean, that's a whole podcast in itself. But I mean, just to name a
Yeah,
few self affirmations, David Goggins, his book, Can't Hurt Me. He gives a few after every chapter of things that worked for him. And he goes on all of his runs and stuff, all of his like ultra marathons. Like he puts in his thought process while he's running, and he's talking to himself in his head, and he's telling himself, "Dude, what the heck did I sign up for?" Like even him, the guy that's Navy SEAL, you know what I mean? Everybody goes through it.
yeah, uh, and yeah, as much training as he does, and he still has doubt. So
Yeah,
that's gonna happen. It doesn't matter what level you're at.
yeah,
So it's just how we deal with it. And like you said, that guy, he's something else. And yeah, self talk is huge. I think that comes with just I mean experience. It will ease that. If you say to yourself, you know what, I've been here before. I've done this. There's nothing to fear about. I think a lot of times we're just afraid of what others are gonna think
hmm
if we don't get to that first place or that gold medal or that expectation that we put on ourselves that maybe is just too high. Do you think like maybe sometimes we put a goal that's just unrealistic?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak from experience on that. You know, we just like to shoot for the stars sometimes, and it's good to have dreams and aspirations. But what are the steps you're going to take to actually get it done? I think that's where it's super important because when you set that huge dream, it's good to have a vision, but when you only have that on the board, it's gonna look so far and wide. You know, how do I get there? It's just gonna be daunting in your mind. But when you break it down into steps, okay, step one, day one, week one, month one, what is it? So I can follow those steps. It helps out big time.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the thing that I like to always say is control what you can control,
Yeah.
and don't worry about the things that are out of your control, because that just adds to the fire of nervousness and just an extra worry that you don't need when you have a job to do, a task, a competition, whatever it is. And I think we need to focus on what's it's me against me, and what do I need to do internally, mentally, physically, spiritually to get prepared. That's gonna bring down the fear factor, and some of those things we could kind of like lay out ahead of time, and which is exercise, being in the best shape we could be, exercising our mind, reading, getting ourselves in a clear frame of mind, a relaxed state of mind before these events that we do that could bring fear. Putting on music. Music can relax fear. I know there's different types of music that can put you in a different type of mood. And from experience, I know if I'm trying to be pumped up, I'm going to hear a pumped up song. If I need to calm down, my nerves are too high, I need to put something more relaxing. So that does work. That's something you could do. I don't know what you do to calm yourselves. I could think of another one, but let me see if what you do.
Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of working out, it wasn't until recently, like a few years ago, when I started deep diving into podcasts, where I would want to listen to podcasts while I'm working out, or like some inspirational that I just found, and I'm working out, and I'm hearing these words, and it's pumping me up because it's almost like your coach is right there telling you that you can do it, that you do have the ability, just one more rep. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's sometimes even it's you're right about the whole psychological thing on music. What type of music? It's super important because if you're listening to depressing country
Yeah.
or like just skiing, smoking, whatever, it's like okay, you know.
Yeah, it does. Whatever you put in your head, it does affect you. So, music, reading, whatever it is you're watching. But like you said, at the same time, David Goggins, I know he's not a big pre-workout guy, and his pre-workout is pumping himself up. Self-talk is always going to be
It's
there.
huge.
You might forget your headphones one day,
Yeah.
and if you're relying on that, you're in trouble, because we're creatures of habit, and if you rely on that too much, that could affect you. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're always gonna have that voice. You're always gonna have your mind. So
Yeah.
use it when you can.
Yeah.
It's huge. Get yourself in that right state of mind. And the other thing I was gonna say is breathing. Breathing is huge because just getting the oxygen to your brain and your muscles and getting yourself relaxed. It's just books upon books of what breathing can do for you. And I know in my experience, jujitsu, breathing is huge. It's like goes back to the early founders, Rickson Gracie, and everybody is he's got books on breathing and techniques of breathing. It just calms you down, puts you in a state where you need to be, and just physically too, it gets you your lungs in the right oxygen levels and brain function, things like that. You got any experience with where you just gotta like take a step back and take a deep breath?
Yeah, I mean, it's important. Just breathing alone. I mean, along with that is also what you're eating, or what you're drinking. It could affect your body and how you breathe. If you're not eating right, you're eating, hamburgers every day. Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time breathing. Eventually, you'll get diabetes and all that. Energy drinks. I know I drink a few here and there, pre-workouts sometimes. They can get to me. So it's always good to have that balance where you take a step back, work out without it, just focus on just a natural workout instead of just, always having that
Yeah,
high energy, like, oh, go, go, go. Because, like you said, the
definitely.
oxygen, it's got to be in.
Yeah, I mean, definitely can't rely on it. So, you got to prepare for when you don't have it. So it can't be a deal that where I just can't perform because I don't have my pre workout,
That's a mindset thing
or
right
I don't
there.
have my headphones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all mindset.
goes back to the hope factor. That Goggins always talks about. Don't hope for the best, hope for the worst, and be ready that way in your mind in case things go for the worst and it takes a detour and you forgot your pre workout, you forgot your headphones. Prepare, take that extra mile when you want to quit. Go that extra mile, and so that way you have that in your back pocket. If something does change, that's going to ease that fear of the unknown. And speaking of the unknown, doing things that you've never done before, that comes with a built-in fear factor. And but all it is just that first time when we think about it. Just going back to my own experience, I had never competed in a setting with a large crowd and competition, jiu-jitsu competition I did recently. It was all first for me. So first, this competition, crowd, everything. But now that it's over, the unknown is gone. You know, that's water under the bridge. And go? What is it on the Hangover movies? But did you die? No, you're alive. So
What doesn't kill you
you
makes you
know
stronger. That's that whole thing.
exactly. We put too much on it, but it's just human nature. Like there's things we can do. Fear. Going back to some of the stuff that I've seen, the core assumption underlying the fear of failure, for example, is a belief that one must be thoroughly competent, adequate, or achieving, a certain high point. And I think people actually put it in their mind that they're gonna fail just because it's easier, and then they don't even have to try, which breeds procrastination. So this is definitely something that people need to address like right away and say the only way I'm gonna do this is if I face my fears, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's fear of failure. I mean, it gets the best of us because it's initial reaction. But when you actually go through it, it becomes a learning experience. It becomes something you can draw back on in the future and say, "Well, I'm not doing that again because, I messed up the first time." And in a sense where let's say you're still striving on that same goal, hey, I'm going to run a marathon. Well, I did some training and, I hurt my knee. It's not going to set me back. I'm not going to give up and say, oh, now I'm never going to run a marathon. I'm just going to recover. I'm going to see what I did wrong. I'm going to adjust my training. And that's, so
Yeah,
using failure to your advantage, failure is one of the best tools that experience wise that can push you to succeed and attain your goals. And
yeah.
without it, honestly, it's almost like you need to
You see
fail.
it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see it all the time. Like in professional sports, they said, "Well, hey, I wasn't the better guy today, and I got to go back to the drawing board." and I'll be back better, stronger. I learned from this. This is gonna expose my what I need to work on. So you gotta look at it as a positive thing,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. Turn it around.
Kobe Bryant, like I just saw a video of him. Like they literally stuck a microphone in his face after he lost, after they lost like one of the final games, and they were like, "Well, what does this mean? What does this mean for you or your team? What you know what I mean? Like just totally trying to catch him off guard." And he's like, "You know what? It's back to work tomorrow. That's what that means. You know, you
Wow.
know, you just
Yeah.
lost the
That's
whole
crazy
freaking season. You
because
know,
I know myself, I would be like, I don't even want to talk right now. Like don't talk to me. Like, uh, this hurts, you know. But it only hurts because we want to do so good, you know. We wanna do good because we know or we don't know that we put in the time, and you don't know until you test yourself. You know, these tests, fear leads into tests, but tests are not bad.
oh,
So we gotta like look at it as in a positive light. You know, that's how you're gonna fix all this stuff.
yeah,
Because there's a lot of fear out there these days.
yeah,
Fear of a lot of things. You know, like people don't even know, like, you know, if they're gonna be able to survive next month. You know,
yeah,
financially or whatever it may be. Spiritually, it's getting crazy out there.
yeah,
You know, don't forget about the spiritual part. You know, praying, wake up, say your prayers, then get your day started, start stacking those wins, start building up that momentum, and get into that winning mindset. So where you stack so many wins already that if you do get one little setback, it's you're so far ahead that you know, it's not gonna phase you because you know, okay, well, I'm still at 90%, you know,
yeah,
capacity or whatever.
yeah.
I
I'm
the way
still
I see it
breathing. I
is
can
like,
still run. I can still
yeah,
feel. You know, unless you're,
I've done.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go. It's like people they forget that, you know, there's a guy out there that wishes he could do something like that, and you know, how can we complain
Yeah,
about getting an opportunity just to get up and go to work? And there's a guy out there somewhere that's out of work and is like, man, I wish I had a job, you know. But yeah, he needs to put some effort into it. But you know, at that time, that day, you know, it's not happening. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Just touching on that, the spiritual side of it. I mean, just look at Jesus, like the whole, starting from the garden, the agony in the garden when he's literally scared. He's got that fear, the human side coming into him, sweating blood, and yet he goes through the whole, everything, the whole suffering, all of it, just for us. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
talk about fear,
it's just,
because he knew what was gonna happen. He knew what was coming,
yeah,
and it was to the point. I don't know if it's ever been done before ever, but that's like the ultimate fear to where you're sweating blood.
yeah,
Like it doesn't get any worse than that. Like being like so full of anxiety or
yeah,
whatever it is,
yeah,
you know. But yeah, but then he still went through it, like you said, and it took some prayer.
yeah.
It took some prayer right before that.
Even he was praying. Yeah, and it's just, and one little small one too is like for us to reach out to him, because him going through that and him being just our almighty father, he's always there for us no matter what. Win, lose, fail, succeed, he's always there. So I think drawing on
Yeah,
that strength is huge. And that doubt, yeah, it's there, but even with the whole crowd, and they were like, how the heck are we going to eat right now? And then Jesus is like, nah, I got you. Then fish come out of nowhere
yeah,
when he did that miracle, right? It's
yeah.
just like,
That's the thing. Like we get to where we think, okay, God is here and we're here, and it's like no, He's right next to us, but we don't include Him sometimes, and He's just like right there, you know, like
yeah,
He's like, I'm right here with you, you know, but like we're going through it together, and just include me. That's all I'm
yeah,
saying, you know, and like, and we'll get through this. But like we're trying to do it on our own. That's the problem. It's like
yeah,
we try to control. everything. And it's like they say, put it in God's hands, pray about it. It's not gonna fall in your lap, but He wants you to go through it with Him.
Yeah.
He doesn't. You don't go send Him to go do it for you.
No.
Let's do this together, and I think that's gonna translate into positive things.
Yeah.
Who knows success?
Yeah.
Who knows failure? Because we don't know. Like I said, failure it's not a bad thing, because we don't know what God has kept us from. Like maybe there was something that was bad after that. If you were to achieve that, it might have led you into something worse, and He didn't want that for you, so it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
T-
Yeah.
Takes me back to a bodybuilder that I just saw a video, and they were asking him about the Olympia. They were like, "Hey, what do you think? Are you ready? You're gonna win?" And he said, "If I win, it's gonna be because of my Lord, Jesus Christ. If He wants me to win, I'm gonna win. If He doesn't, I'm not. It's got to be for some reason that I can't see. So I gotta trust that." And shoot, dude, how can you lose when you go into it like that? I mean,
Yeah.
like you might have lost, like technically, but you really didn't lose. That's not a
Yeah.
loss.
It's like the jujitsu saying that you always say all the time. There's no, what is it? There's no failure. There's only learn.
There's no,
What is it?
there's only
There's
learning.
only
Yeah,
learning.
you hear that a lot in jiu-jitsu, because it's like there's so much losing. Like you are gonna lose. Nobody goes undefeated in jiu-jitsu that trains daily. Like you lose in the gym, you lose in the practice. Black belts get tapped out by people, by lower belts. It happens, and they don't just turn in their belt and say, "That's it, I'm done. I lost to a lower belt." It teaches you that losing, you get more out of losing than winning. Sometimes you get to be that stronger, strengthen your game, and learn from that, learn from your mistakes, and take it like
Yeah.
that, because they say, like, if you don't learn, you're just gonna repeat it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, it's
yeah,
being stacking wins. You're stacking your own wins. It's what you're trying to do, right? But let's say you got a kid from, you know, a rich neighborhood that's never seen failure in his life, and he's just handed everything. Well, when that kid grows up and he gets into the real world and, gets punched in the face, what is he going to fall back on? Like, "Oh, I've never felt this before." So the
exactly.
mindset growing as a kid and experiencing failure and understanding failure, that's huge as well. I mean, it starts at a young age and then continues on forever.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like you said, rich, I mean, spoiled, basically what we're saying. And then you can't, like, always be given everything, because when it doesn't go your way, you're not gonna know how to handle it.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, take that and use that in your life. And if you have kids out there, that's a good lesson too. You don't always get what you want. Sometimes you gotta, put it on the back burner, and you don't know why, but your mom and dad knows why.
yeah,
Take it like that, and you'll be thankful for it later when you get older.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, failure leads to a lot of things. But there's also that failure, fear of success. A lot of people don't want to take that extra, because if they do succeed, now they have a new set of responsibilities, and some people just don't want to deal with that. But I mean, the only way you're gonna grow is if you challenge yourself. Try to be the best you can. It's the best version of you. And some people look at that, as a negative, because they're being judged by other people. But no, just look at your own self. and say, am I better than I was yesterday? That's how you deal with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's again, like you said, it's you against you. At the end of the day, you're gonna look back and think, did I do everything I possibly can to take care of me, take care of my family, take care of the ones around me? And if it's something that pushes you to a hard road, then so be it. Just know why you're doing it. Remind yourself of why, because that's what'll get you through those rough patches, that hard days where you feel like you're alone and you're the only one doing it, and nobody's for you, nobody's giving you a pat on the back, but you're just doing it anyway because you have to. You know that's the right thing to do, and that's what kind of keeps you going.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. I totally agree with all that. So, to just give people value out of all this, what we're all talking about, I came out and I found 8 ways to fight your fear. And oh shoot, my nose bugging me. Number one, take time out. It's difficult to think clearly when you feel scared or anxious. So I would say, like, you know, take time out, take a step back, assess the situation, and and put your fear to the side for a minute. Say, hey, wait a minute, let me think about this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you got to make a calculated decision as much as you can. Don't just jump into things just for the heck of it, or if the wheel keeps spinning and something's not right, well, like you said, the only way to examine it correctly is to take a step back, look at it from a far perspective, ask somebody else, hey, does this just look right to you? Sometimes we're so zoned
Yeah,
in on our own, worries and doubts, and that we just get fogged up to where you do need an outside person that's, someone you can trust that can really give it to you straight.
yeah. It's good to have a second set of eyes or a second set of somebody just their feedback.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that could ease your fear because you're saying you're doing it right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know.
But you're
Even,
like you're
even, sorry, even, Nick Bear, this guy's the CEO of his own, performance supplement company. And on his podcast, he was saying he started getting into these big rooms with these big CEOs, and they were talking a bunch of finance and stuff, some crazy language, like high education language. And this guy's Army Ranger, you know what I mean, from Cincinnati, Ohio, whatever. And he's in there, and he's like, "Well, you know what? I'm not going to pretend like I know what they're talking about. I'm just going to ask them straight out. Hey, what does that mean? Could you explain that really quick?
yeah.
Don't
Be
Yeah,
real. Keep it
yeah,
real.
don't feel like you have to fake it and just put on this facade that you're in with the group and you know everything they're talking about. If you don't, be humble enough to ask the right question and say, I don't know that. Could you help me out? 'Cause a lot of times your pride gets in the
Yep.
way.
Being humble. Yep.
Thank you.
That's huge. Yep. Be humble. I mean, that's gonna help you because ask questions. Don't be afraid. What they say? There's no such thing as a stupid
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
But yeah, breathing. Number two, I got breathing. Breathe through the panic. We talked about that. Number three, I got face your fears. So take that head on. Don't run away. Just face it. Remember, anxiety isn't harmful. It only leads, you to. It's a natural thing.
yeah.
Anxiety is just a natural feeling.
It is.
Like we talked about, yeah. If you're kind of nervous, that's normal. That means it means a lot to you.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that. You're gonna have a little bit of anxiety. Now, if you let it take over your everything, that's what we're talking about. We gotta go to the next step, which would be challenge unhelpful thoughts. So there you go again. You gotta think positive, clear your mind.
yeah. Shoot, it's you can get into a negative self-talk wheel, and you got to recognize it. You got to be aware of it. Cut it as soon as you hear the first few words. Like in your mind. You know, maybe I'm
For
maybe I'm
sure.
not good enough for this. Nah, don't even. See, that's the first sign.
No, no,
What would you say if
you
that popped
gotta,
in your head?
uh, I would say, well, I would be like, what am I saying? No, I got this. I could do it. Maybe I've never done it before, but you know, there's a lot of first time things that end up being okay, and it's just think, breathe, all the other steps. You'll probably come out with a certain amount of success, and if you didn't, well, you learned something. So
Yeah.
it's a win win when you think about it.
Yep.
And the next one I got here is don't try to be perfect. I mean, it's good to try to be the best and shoot for that. And if it doesn't happen, it's probably something that was out of your control. So we go back to the control what you could control. I mean, nobody's perfect. We don't want to use that as an excuse.
By any means, nobody's perfect. Nobody.
No.
The sooner you get that in your
But
head, the better.
yep.
No
But
comparisons, no
we don't
nothing.
want to say that over and over either, though. You know what I mean? Like
No, as an
to
excuse.
just
Yeah,
say,
no, I got you.
yeah, yeah, that could happen too.
That is true.
But and something else, I didn't come up with this. Visualize a happy place or something positive. That helps people sometimes. You know what I mean? You put yourself in a mindset where you're like you're trying to make yourself feel more comfortable. So like how they say where imagine the crowd, they're something's wrong with them and they're the ones that should be nervous, not you.
Mm,
So you're visualizing something flipping the tables around and that supposedly would help you.
yeah.
So take that if you want to try it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a good
And
one.
the last one I had, go ahead.
No, that's a good
Did you
one.
have
I
anything on
mean,
it?
I kind of got it towards like, reminding yourself of why you're doing it. And to me, it's like, it's now that I have two daughters, it's the thought of, I'm going to come home and if it's a long day at work and I'm not having a good day or whatever, I'm going to come home and she's going to greet me with a happy smiley face and a big hug. And that's all I need. That's what
Yeah,
kind of,
it's like it's like you might have the worst day ever, but when you come home and you see those, I mean, that just puts it all into perspective right there.
yeah.
But the last thing is to talk about it, man. Get it out in the open. That's what we're doing right now. We're trying to educate people. We're trying to give them some tips. Don't hold it all inside. Put so much pressure on yourself to where you make yourself literally you're getting sick. I've heard of that. People panic attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, it's all the things that combined that we talked about, the expectations, the what do other people think about if I fail or if I don't get the job, I don't get the promotion, you know, if I get last place, if I don't finish a race, anything, like all those types of things, they can get in your head to where it can be bottled up inside and that's not healthy. It needs to be let out. You need to either write it down if you don't have anybody that you can talk to, or talk to a companion, talk to a friend, talk to your spouse, whatever.
find a homeless guy. Find a homeless guy on the street.
Yeah,
Let it talk.
I
Hey,
mean, he
listen.
will. Yeah, to be honest, it's conversation.
Huh. Sorry, man. My nose is bugging me.
Nah, you good.
Um, yeah. So we pretty much summed it all up. I mean, you could go on and on about this subject, and there's experts and books and videos upon videos, but we're gonna put our little 2 cents on it. By no means are we professors
No.
or experts in the field, but who knows? Somebody might be watching this, and maybe we said one thing that helps them out. That's the goal. Help out somebody out there. We don't do this for ourselves. We do it to help others, and we don't want to see anybody fail. We don't want to see them, you know, put themselves down to where they think there's no hope. And there's ways. There's ways to battle this. It's a normal thing. Fear is normal, but there is ways to handle it, and that's what we've covered here today. And I don't know what else you got. Anything that you wanted to add on there?
If for the young people out there, it's okay to fail. It's okay. It's gonna happen, and hopefully, you know, you learn from whatever it is that you need to learn from it, and it's only gonna make you better. That's all. If you keep telling yourself that, no matter what happens, you'll be okay. So it's just,
What doesn't kill you makes you
yeah.
stronger. Yep.
I mean, I just, yeah, that's about it.
Yep. Last words I gotta say: with pain comes strength. This is the Daddy Rooster 88 podcast.
Yeah.
Conversation with my son. And we're gonna catch you guys on the next one. If you guys got anything you wanna say in the comments, positive or negative, we'll take the good and the bad. We are not afraid. There's no fear, and we'll just learn. Thanks for the feedback, guys. Thanks for watching. Daddy Rooster 88. Peace out, Sam.
Out.
You're
Peace,
out.
Dad.